Then came COVID, almighty COVID. This year, 2020. As part of the measures the president took, he declared a lockdown. If you realize, management of our borders is in the remit of Ministry of Interior, especially with Ghana Immigration Service. So they were tasked to prevent people from coming in or going out in Ghana when they don't close our borders. Togo closed their borders before us. Ivory Coast closed their borders before us. And when we finally closed the borders, Immigration Service deployed a number of men to the crossing points. We have 53 recognized crossing points, over 250 unrecognized crossing points, what we call routes that people used. So you don't have immigration officers sitting in over 250 of these routes. In fact, if you want to add a pass, there are over 500 places where people pass with no immigration officer. It was a surprise that during the lockdown, immigration reported that they arrested over 5,000 people who either crossed the border or attempted to cross the border. If you have a disease like COVID, ravaging the whole country, and our numbers going up, and as you all know, Ghana has tested over 280,000 people within our borders. Ghana has tested less than 50,000. Ivory Coast the same, Burkina same. And you would all have been aware that when we arrest 30 people, about a third of them turn out to be positive. So when the number went up, those trying to cross went up, we decided that we must send other security forces to aid the Ghana Immigration Service to make sure that our borders remain closed and that nobody comes in and nobody goes out. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the 30th of March 2020, this year, and 20th of April 2020, we further added soldiers as well as policemen to support Ghana Immigration Service to ensure that the lockdown rules are respected and the closure of our border respected. So that's the second date. The first date was 21st of February 2019. The second date was on 30th of March and 20th of April 2020. We also realized that within the period of the lockdown, when we deployed the security forces, particularly to Accra, Kumasi, and Tema General area, the crime rate went down, essentially. In fact, if we ask towns like Boku, Tumu, Hamili, Wa, all the areas where we have deployed soldiers, crime rate has gone down drastically. But when the lockdown was lifted and we withdrew the security forces, crime wave started going up, particularly armed robbery. So we decided in a National Security Council meeting to bring back Calm Life in an enhanced manner. So we call it Operation Enhanced Calm Life. So if you realize within Accra and especially the main towns of Ghana, you will see more presence of soldiers and police on our streets within. And anybody can look at it. That's based on what we call Operation Enhanced Calm Life. In the same vein, we took the decision that more people started crossing into this country after the lockdown was over, especially with the so many unapproved routes. So the police and the soldiers should go and support Ghana Immigration Service to ensure that people who are from the outside, that is Togo, Ivory Coast, and Burkina, do not come into the country to bring estates. Because we are not there, we don't know what they are doing. What we are concerned is to ensure that our people are safe. It is the duty of the Ministry of Defense to ensure that you, the people of Ghana, are safe. And whatever we will do to ensure that the people of Ghana are safe, we'll do it. So on the 18th and 19th of June, the Ministry of Defense started deploying soldiers to support Ghana Immigration Service to close all the loopholes within our border towns. 18th and 19th of June, we asked the operatives, who are the soldiers, and the police, and the GIS, Ghana Immigration Service, and of course GRA, to deploy to aid Ghana Immigration Service, who are the lead agency, to close up all the unapproved routes so that people come into this country.
So a special coverage of the Minister of Defense on the press out with regards to some issues that have popped up over the period. We'll go back to that issue, a bit of technical challenges from their side. But let me bring in my two guys who will be helping me look at the things he's been talking about so far, and then later, because this is a big issue. It's been trending for the past 4 days or so, and even prior to that, some utterances. So Godfred Akoto-Boafo is here. He's the head of current affairs for TV and radio, and our head of research, Nathan Kwao, is here as well. Gentlemen, some interesting things we've been told. So from what he's said so far, he's given us a chronology of what they've been doing from February, I believe, of this year. So let's go through of last year. Let's go through what he's been saying so far, and whilst we try to catch the feedback.
Well, initially he stated that in 2019 the president ordered a deployment all around the country's borders for routine security checks to make sure that we were safe. It was done under Operation Conquered Fist. That started on February 21, 2019. And then he stated several towns and villages up north, you know, across that terrain, northern region, northeast, upper west, upper east, and then the Savannah region. Yeah. So per what he's saying, you would have found a lot of a heavy security presence in those areas. Now, he also went on to provide some numbers in terms of the people who were deployed. So, for example, from the military, there were 12 officers and 372 men. And from the Ghana police, you had 4 officers and 265 men. You had 70 people from the Ghana Revenue Authority and 172 men from the Ghana Immigration Service. Now, why all these numbers? Now, if you also listen to what he said after that, especially the unapproved routes, he said there were over 250. So it was important that you had a lot of military or a lot of security officials spread around to check all these unapproved routes, because most of the time, if people are leaving or coming into your country illegally, they will not use the recognized routes. They will use the unrecognized ones or the unapproved ones. And we have over 250 of them, while there are 53 recognized routes. So if you look at the numbers, it tells you why you would guess that there would be a lot of these security officials in that part of town. He also
are we to believe from what he's saying that 200 unmanned points have now been sorted out with what we're seeing, that contingent?
Well, it's difficult to tell because he has not provided any numbers to tell us that, okay, so between February 2019 and, say, June 2020, if we had 10,000 people coming in through the unapproved routes, this time we have only 10 or 100 or 5. He hasn't stated that. Now that will be left to interpretation, because you still have people coming in and out. During the lockdown period, he mentioned that, and even after lockdown, we've heard so many stories of people coming in, Guineans coming in, Burkinabés, Malians, and all of that. Clearly, you can see that whatever operation government has put in place is not foolproof, and people are still finding ways and means around it. Now, if you also go through another thing he mentioned, he stated that the Immigration Service announced that they had done about 5,000 arrests of people who were coming in all out during the lockdown.
Okay, hang on with those thoughts. Godfred, also your thoughts in a bit. Let's go back. We've been able to connect back to the Ministry of Information and the Defense Minister.
Bolga, 2 officers, 45 men. Paga, 1 officer, 17 men. So in Upper East, there are 8 crossing points, 8 towns, and we have deployed 8 officers and 199 men. Upper East. Now,
So still a bit of some challenges flickering here and there. So Nathan, you were making a point quickly.
Yes, yes. So he stated that the Immigration Service made over 5,000 arrests, or they arrested over 5,000 people coming in and out during the lockdown. Now, if you follow the news stories, even from what our correspondents did and what other people did, you could tell that some people did come in. The most high profile were the 30 people from about, was it Guinea or Mali, who were arrested. 10 of them turned out positive for COVID-19, and that kind of started the COVID trend up north. So if you look at that, it creates a bit of a context, but it doesn't properly answer the main question as to how, for example, you would have military deployment sent to places like the Volta region, OT region, even though the other regions have been mentioned, Upper East, Upper West, Northeast, and all of that. So it's a great context. Now the challenge will be, how does government respond to all these questions of military personnel at the Volta region, for example, because
at the time
they went, because some people say that, oh, they are happening in other parts of the country. So how come government is not highlighting that on the western side, for example, at Azim, Big School, Enugu, wherever you have these things there? How come the locals there are not speaking and are not making the same amount of noise the people in the Volta region and the OT region are making at the same time?
Okay, let's come to government. Let's say that the press conference is not over yet. We're having a bit of challenges there, so maybe some of the questions we're raising, we're told that we're back live there, so let's go there.
In the northern region, they said Palpa, K-P-A-L-K-P-A, Palpa. They are mostly Combes and a few fishermen who are from the Evitar. We have 1 officer, 20 men in Palpa. Sheni is mostly Barris. We have 1 of 20 men. It's a border town. Napali is Konkombes and Gombes. We have 1 officer, 20 men. Saboba is purely Kombes. We have 1 officer, 23 men. And Tali is Konkomba and Basari, but mostly Basari. We have 1 officer, 22 men. So for northern region, we have 5 officers, 105 men. In 5 locations, 5 officers, 105 men in northern region. Now I come down to the next line, which is as we down south, OT region. In OT region, we have deployed in 6 locations. The first one is Tinjasi. Tinjasi are Konkombes. My tribe, Konkombes, Tinjasi. We have deployed 1 officer, 15 men. 1 officer, 15 men. Nabu are Konkombes. We have deployed no officer, 10 men. Minusu, they are Kan. We have 1 officer, 15 men. Ahumasu Pillar 3 is the next place we deployed. No officer, 10 men. K-U-E, Q, we have no officer, 10 men, all in OT. And Dadjeri, no officer 10 men. So in OT region, we have deployed 2 officers and 70 men in 6 locations. 2 officers, 70 men in OT. Let me count down to that one. Volta region. That's the last region if you take the eastern side. In Volta region, we deployed 3 officers and 95 men. 3 officers, 95 men. First one, Aflao, which is the base. Aflao has 1 officer, 15 men, 15. 1 officer, 15 men, 15. That's what we deployed on the 8th and 9th. 1 officer, let me repeat, 1 officer, 15 men, 15. Akanu, no officer, 0 officer, no officer, 10 men. Shia is SHIA, no officer, 10 men. Nyovi is NYIE, NYIVE, Nyivi. 1 officer, 15 men. 15 men. Hunuta, HONUTA, Hunuta. No officer, 10 men. Le clé bit d'affaires. Le clé bit d'affaires. LEKLEBI. Le clé bit then d'affaires. No officer, 10 men. We Afegame. We start with WLI. We Afegame. 1 officer, 15 men. Then Lepe Baglo, no officer, 10 men. So for Volta region, we have 3 officers, 95 soldiers. Volta region, let me repeat, 3 officers, 95 soldiers. OT region, 2 officers, 70 soldiers. North region, 5 officers, 105 soldiers. Northeast, 3 officers, 99 soldiers. East, 8 officers, 199 soldiers. Upper West, so that is the eastern side. Upper West, we have 3 operational areas: Wa, Tumu, Hamili. In Wa, we have 1 officer, 15 soldiers. Tumu, 1 officer, 35 soldiers. And Hamili, 2 officers, 15 soldiers. So for Upper West, we have 4 officers, 65 soldiers. I am coming down south again. I started from the western side. Savannah, Damango, and Bole. Together we have 2 places of operation, Damango and Bole. We have no officer, 21 men. That is Savannah. No officer, 21 men. Bono region. In Sama, we have 8 soldiers. Gonokro, 4 soldiers. In Krankwa, we have 4 soldiers. Kofi Badu, we have 4 soldiers. And the original Operation Kwankef is 44 soldiers. So 8 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 44 gives you Bono region. Western region, which is the last region, Elubu has 1 officer, 7 men. Half Asini, which is in Jomoro district, has no officer, 6 men. And so we have one officer, 30 men. Jama North, Jama South, Doma Center and Doma West have requested for soldiers. So tomorrow I'm going to get the operation to send them as well to those places, because people have started looking at areas that were covered and want to cross. Ladies and gentlemen, I am giving you this statistics for you to know there is no agenda against a particular tribe. But if you add the numbers, the Konkombes, which are my tribe, have more soldiers stationed in their place than any other tribe in Ghana. I have an agenda against my own tribe. And like I said, if you go to Northeast, Konkombes are in Yogu, Mbiri, Chiriponi, in Northern region, Baupa, Sheni, Napali, Saboba, Tatali, Enoti, Tinjasi, Nabu, Konkombes are there. They are the majority tribes. In fact, almost 80% in each place, except Chiriponi and a few areas. There's no agenda of the government of Ghana against any particular tribe. I want to urge people who are going on that tangent to drop it. They're in Ghana. It doesn't help us. Volta region, when we want to rank the eastern side, we will go first. The first region on the eastern side, where Volta region is up east. 8 plus 199 soldiers. That's 207 soldiers in Upper East. The next biggest is Northern region. 5 officers, 105 soldiers. That is 110 members of the Ghana Armed Forces are in Northern region. Next place is in Northeast. 99 plus 3, 102 soldiers. Before you then come to Volta region, which is plus 95, 98 soldiers. Then you come to T, which is the last one, is 2 plus 70, 72 soldiers. So I want to let the chiefs and people of the Volta region know that the information the NDC minority President John Mahama is feeding them is pure propaganda. It should be ignored. It's pure mischief. It's pure propaganda. We have deployed across the entire country, and the purpose is to aid and support the Ghana Immigration Service to stop people from crossing, because we have too many unapproved routes. And COVID, the numbers are getting higher and higher and higher. And we will not, and let me repeat, sit aloof and allow our people to die because people are crossing into our country. If people have any reason, whether NDC, MPP, CPP, or any party has any reason and have the intention of bringing in anybody for whatever purpose, the protocol is very clear. Bring them in through the approved channels, let them quarantine themselves for 14 days, and then they can do whatever they want to do. But for the people of Ghana, they are concerned about their health. It's my duty to make sure that the people of Ghana are safe. And at this particular time, we are all in danger. So you will have seen the deployments we have done across the whole country. And for anybody to suggest that we just deploy it only to Aflao or Volta region is misplaced. It's misinformation. And the person is just seeking for mischief. The people of Volta region, particularly the chiefs and people, will register and register well. The people of Ghana will register and register well. The soldiers are not meant to any polling station. The soldiers will be at the border to stop people from coming in or going out across the whole border. Volta region, Oti region, Northern region, Northeast region, Upper East, Upper West, Bono region, Western North, West region, and Savannah. These are the regions that borders. And the soldiers are to help the immigration stop anybody from crossing into Ghana or leaving Ghana, because our borders are locked to human traffic. What we will accept is cargo, but for human traffic, we will not accept. If you want to bring any human, go to the Ghana embassy, register, and that person will come in and spend his time at his own cost, a quarantine period of 14 days. And once we are okay that the person is not COVID patient, is not positive, that person can go. But to think that a responsible government, when the numbers are going up, will sit and fold our hands, allow people just to come in because a particular party wants people to come in, that one will not happen. Soldiers, as I said, are not going to any polling station. On that day, take your Ghana card or take 2 guarantors and go to the polling station, and you will register if you are a Ghanaian. If you are not a Ghanaian, you have no business to go there. But if you are a Ghanaian, you will register and nobody will be allowed to stop you. There is a legal basis for stopping people from registering. And the soldiers are not part of that legal basis. They are the borders and will remain at borders to ensure that people do not go out and do not come in. I thank you very much.
Honourable Minister, thank you for that detailed explanation. We will be taking your question shortly. I'll just make a few remarks and then we'll take your questions. And as the Honourable Minister was going through the details, I was getting from some of your own colleagues that are we not giving out too much information? But it is important that this detail is put, because it is in the absence of this very clear detail that some persons succeed in leading all of us to believe that a huge military deployment has been done at Aflao with the objective of stopping people from registering or something associated with that one. It is important for the Honourable Minister to go through this from Upper East, Northeast, North, Oti, Volta, Upper West, Savannah, Bono, Western, and even give you the numbers. Your colleagues are out there on the ground, they can check. Earlier today, press briefing by our colleagues in the NDC, Samuel Kujetwa Blackwell of the NDC says the deployments that have been going on did not include the military. You are finding out that that is all probably false. The Honourable Minister is giving you way back when the deployment started, how many men, how many officers from the beginning. So it is not true. Again, he makes it clear that there was no deployment on the western frontiers. That again, as you are realizing, is not true. But those stories are told just so that they can succeed in convincing some group of persons that it is something, and I want to use the words the former president Mahama used, it is something with an ethno-tribal agenda and something against Ewes. As you are beginning to realize, there's no truth in that. As we head for the registration and electioneering period of 2020, the Akufo-Addo administration, for the avoidance of doubt, is not interested in ethnic bigotry or ethnocentric politics. We will continue to urge all political actors to focus on campaigns and conversations that outline how they intend to improve the economy, create jobs, ensure more and more people get incomes and a better quality of life. We strongly, strongly discourage any political group that thinks that it is good to seek to energize its base by whipping up a sense of an attack on any specific ethnic group. We strongly discourage any political group from doing so. And as the Honourable Minister mentioned, if it comes to matters of registration and election, the laws are clear, and we all even encourage every Ghanaian to go out there with your Ghana card or your passport or your 2 guarantors and go and register. The Honourable Minister will take your questions now. May I ask for the microphone to be set up? And if you have questions, I'll take the first 4. Your questions, you step up, you ask your questions, and then we will do well to answer them. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. Please step forward. Any other takers? 2, 3. Yes, sir. I'll take a final question for this first batch. Any other questioner for this first batch? Can you assist him? Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Atamesa from Ghana News Agency. I want to find out how long will this cruise be at borders? Then 2, what about sea? Because recently I learned a Ghanaian flagship was hijacked. And so, do you have any plans of deploying people, soldiers to guard our sea for us? And the president of the Aflao Traditional Council alleged that some of the soldiers have been going in house to house, searching homes and brutalizing civilians. How true is it? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Jenny, you have reporters in Aflao, correct? You have reporters in Aflao, right? Yeah. So I'm sure they can also do some validation for us. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Anna Seidu. I report for CTFM and CTV. My first question has to do with an ad that was put out by the Ghana Armed Forces themselves advertising exercise Eagle Claws.
Eagle Claws?
Yes, which was supposed to happen in the Upper West and Upper East region. It happened for like a week or 2.
Yeah.
No mention of it was done. There was no mention of it.
Is that an exercise or a deployment?
It was an exercise that led to deployment to the Upper West and the Upper East region.
Okay.
Military men were there.
Okay.
Secondly, you talk about the chiefs from the Volta region, their statement, the one from former President Mahama, but you didn't talk about the concerns that were raised by former President Jerry John Rawlings. He raised some issues in statement. What will be the minister's
Any specific issue you want us to respond?
Almost all the issues that he raised in his statement.
For example, so that we are quite which one?
I believe you've read the statement. He has raised issues that are in the statement. If the minister would like to pick and choose some, that's fine. But I would like him to react to the statement in totality.
Very well. Very well.
Finally, some of the towns mentioned, let me be specific. For instance, Wa. I don't know of any border, that's any Ghana, Burkina Faso, any other border town that's in Wa itself that we have deployments there. Thank you.
As in WA specifically?
WA specifically.
Okay. So, Minister, we'll bring WA as well. Thanks. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is John Aouni. I represent Kesben. I just want some clarity. Before this operation were carried out, did they sensitize the traditional rulers in that area, i.e., this is what we are going to do, at least combat the COVID? And again, my question was partially asked though, but I just retrieve that post-COVID, are these soldiers going to be there, or after COVID they will get back to
so
the
it fits into the first question of how long will this COVID-related deployment last?
Exactly. Thank you.
Was there? I thought we had 4. Honorable Minister, how would they be there? How about the sea? There are reports that some of them are searching homes. Is that part of their mandate? Has it been validated in any way? Anas is about Eagle Claws in Upper West and Upper East, right? Which you haven't made mention of. He's asking whether there's any part of former President Rawlings' statement you want to respond to, and that he wants some explanation on the WA specific, because WA is not a border town, so why WA specific? And then John is asking whether or not there was sensitization of traditional rulers.
Thank you very much. First of all, Enhance Camp Life, we've given the resources for 3 months. As for first 3 months, we have done that. In fact, we are preparing for the second 3 months to give them, because we want to ensure that we stop crime. So the Enhanced Camp Life across the whole country is 3 months. We have given them resources as part of it. The borders, I told you the primary reason is to ensure that people don't come in or don't go out. As we say today, the president has closed the borders until 31st of July. If the president opens the borders, or the government opens the borders, why would the soldiers be there? We are preventing people from coming into our country so that Ghanaians are safe from this deadly COVID disease. Because the unapproved routes are so many that Ghana Immigration System alone is unable to do it. As we keep resourcing them and getting more men into their service. So we asked the police, the military, the GRA, and the BNI to assist them. And so they are there. Once the borders are extended, their stay will be extended. For Marine, if you watch the Marine news well, we have deployed more boats than we have. And in collaboration with Marine Police, we have deployed a lot of boats to the eastern and the western frontiers of our country. The eastern is Aflao area and the western is Elubu area. That is the reason why the president cut short for the construction of a forward operating base, which is over a big Ghana city at Inzulizu as part of it. So we have tightened the news around the marine environment as well. So it is not just the land borders, the marine borders too, we have done same. As for the searching of home, that is not the mandate of the soldiers. So I will investigate that report that they have said. There is. So I'm not able to say that it's not true or it's a lie. No. They are chiefs. So I will investigate. That's not their mandate.
You're still watching a special coverage of that presser by the Minister of Defense currently happening at the Information Ministry. We'll go back to that presser. Do pardon us for the back and forth, a bit of internet challenges from their side. So we'll keep going back and forth while the issue is being so. But let me come to you guys. Nathan, you started making some points over the deployment. But let me bring in Godfrey also to pick his thoughts on some of the reasons he's given so far. Now he's broken down the deployment figures from the Upper West to the Northeast, Volta, Oti, Western. I think the highest we are seeing in deployment is Upper East, if I got my figures right. That's 207. Yes. Northern region, we have 110. Northeast, 102. Volta, the center of the attention, 98. And OT, 72. And Western, as little as 14, if my figures are right.
Yeah. Okay, so a couple of things for me, and very interesting and important, the exercise that has been carried out today, because, you know, anytime, if you look at a country with that kind of history, anytime the military is put out in that manner, people normally panic in that regard. We are still not very comfortable with the presence of the military in our civil spaces, and so one can understand. And the defense minister has tried to give a chronology, as you rightly said, of the time they have put out the military, the places. And if you look at some of the places, bar the Volta region, the Northern region, the Upper East region, the Northeast region, 90% of the time year-round, there are soldiers there. So there is a familiarity with military presence in those areas. And based on several incidents that have happened there, at any point in time, you can rationalize a military presence in those areas. So at any point in time, you have some going, some coming, in and out, basically. The Volta region was a bit different. But
the original, so we put this in perspective, the original purpose of these military people deployed there, according
to him, he's saying that once we announced the closure of the borders, we needed to target the borders and make sure they stayed closed and people would not come in. And so we have deployed the soldiers. Maybe another question to ask is the success rate of this, because I'm looking at Ambrose Derry's own statement, 5,984 foreigners intercepted between March 30 and May 2nd. Which is why I would have been that's why I was asking, when were these persons deployed where?
Okay.
Because if between March 30, 2020 and May 2nd, 2020, we had 5,984 foreigners who have been intercepted, and most of them came in through the northern side, the northern region, upper east, upper west, according to the statement when you were speaking before Parliament.
Yeah.
At that time, this was about 3 weeks ago, then I would ask again, when were the deployments done? You understand? Because again, the Minister of Defense is very emphatic on why the deployments were done. The core reason being that we want to protect our borders from persons who are bringing in COVID. Now, you and I work in the newsroom. Almost every week, we report on illegal entries from the north, upper east, upper west.
Yeah.
For about a month running, one of the most popular voices on City Prime News is the immigration boss in that particular, at the border post there. He's always on the news. Controller, you see something, I've forgotten his name, forgive me, but he's very popular on the news because that is where the people were coming through. I have not come across a story we did from the Volta region.
No.
In that regard, which was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, unlike the 3 regions. So if you look at the numbers there, it's quite interesting. And again, like I said, it would have been interesting to know when they were deployed to deal with this matter, based on the scenario we have seen. And for me, it's also interesting because there are a couple of things that have happened, and it fits. If you look at the operation he spoke about, and Anas has asked that question I thought we needed an answer to.
It's unfortunate we're having a break.
21st February 2019 Operation Conquered Fist. Operation Conquered Fist falls under the Accra Initiative, which is basically a 2017 agreement by ECOWAS countries that, based on what was happening in the Sahel region, the Niger, northern Burkina Faso, Mali area, they would come together and patrol their borders properly and conduct operations to prevent transnational crime and the spillage of terrorism into territories that had not yet experienced it. So that is why we set out the Operation Conquered Fist in the first place.
Okay.
So we've had military deployments.
That was the 21st of February.
That was the 2019 Operation Conquered Fist.
Yeah.
That is why we put those things there. Now, was part of there's another operation called Kundangu. Kundangu was between Ghana and Burkina Faso, where we did back and forth operations between Burkina Faso and Ghana to deal specifically with issues of terrorism. Okay, that's why again I asked, when did the soldiers go there? Because military operations on the borders have been going on. It's fine. But the reasons were not COVID related.
Yes.
The reasons since that time have always been transnational crime and terrorism, not COVID necessarily. So I found it a bit interesting that due to the surge in COVID numbers, when did the surge occur? Where are the surges occurring? We've been looking at the COVID numbers. The greatest number of COVID cases in the Greater Accra region, 9,641. Ashanti region has 3,472. The Western region has 1,556. Tell me how many soldiers are in the Western region, please.
The Western, just 14.
14 men.
It's the 3rd hotspot in the country. Has a lot of unapproved routes, last I checked, into Ghana from Cote d'Ivoire. Which has been mentioned as one of the countries that is not testing as much as we are, according to the ministry.
And
so
over there we have just 14.
Why do we have 14 soldiers at the border post of the 3rd highest COVID rate in Ghana? You understand that? So when you do these things, you just allow people to have suspicions. Appropriately, what would have been good, would have been to explain to the various communities that this and this and this is what we are going to do. Engage. So that when you show up, it is not a surprise. And that's why I made the initial point, for instance. In the regions up north, there have been significant military operations ongoing. So soldiers being around is never a surprise.
And some of them are conflict-prone areas. So we've seen this over the period.
You always need to try and keep a lid on it.
It happens in the Volta region, where the timing matters, because they will see it as, okay, because we have decided to do, why are soldiers here? We are not fighting here. Volta region has 337 COVID cases.
And then OT has 110.
Yes. Of the illegal entries that we have reported so far, how many were caught between those 2 border points? that would be a good question to ask. But it will not be a good question to ask the defense minister.
Because
He
he
won't
yeah.
have answers.
Yeah.
But it would be a good question to ask that between the Volta region and OT, of the 5,600 people who have been caught, how many are coming from there? Then you can rationalize that we have caught 5,000 people. Of the 5,000 we have caught, 4,000 have been coming from Togo and this place.
So we need those figures to justify what we're saying.
You must justify their presence.
Yes.
You cannot simply say, oh,
If
there are
I come to
COVID
you
numbers. So because we have high COVID numbers, we must send soldiers there. It is fine to send soldiers, and it is, in fact, it's very important to protect the territorial sanctity of this country. Nobody wants that. But I am simply saying that there are just, sometimes the explanations must fit a bit. The engagement must be appropriate so that people on the ground. Now, on Thursday, when Aklama filed the story, it was, why is it that we haven't had stories filed? And our correspondents, Vivian, you run our correspondence. If a soldier shows up somewhere, any region in this country,
anywhere,
we will know.
If they even show up, just here, we
will know immediately. You understand?
Yes.
So it was no surprise, right? But Aklama filed this story on Thursday. Because as soon as they showed up, people were worried.
People were worried. There were a lot of concerns.
You understand? So this story didn't happen Saturday, Sunday. This started on Thursday. When BK Aklama sent a story and said, well, soldiers have suddenly showed up in the region, and people were panicking about it. Because, one, you would ask, what had been the level of community engagement?
So you feel there should have been a prior engagement before
Talk to
that?
the people.
Okay, we'll
Talk
come
to the
to
people.
what they should have done, but let's still look at what is happening around that. Nathan, you wanted to throw in something at a point.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I mean, if you work your numbers in the Volta region and the OT regions together, there are 170 soldiers. 170 soldiers for a place that is recording, if the minister's words are anything to go by, 337 cases in the Volta region, 110 in the OT region. Yes, the numbers triple-digit figures, but if you compare that to Accra, Ashanti, Western, that's very small. You know, so if you are saying that you are sending soldiers out there to deal with, you know, people coming in, it's all well and good. But if you compare it to places like the Western region, 1,556 cases, and there are only 14 soldiers, then these things open, you know, the conversation up to all kinds of interpretation. Let's not forget now, if you look at what the large part of the responses that have come from the NDC, either being MPs, former President Mahama, former President Rawlings, they are all bothering on one central thing: suspicion, because they do not understand why there are soldiers there. And that is what Godfred is saying. If you don't tell the people why the soldiers are there, they will read all kinds of meanings. Juxtapose that to comments that have come from some other politicians, then you are beginning to stir a very, very dangerous solution, right? And add the fact that there's a registration that's going to happen. So you are.
But if it comes to COVID matters proper, and COVID started in March, between March all the way to June, getting to the end of June, why did it take us so long to get these military people to deal with the border thing? But let's go to the minister. He's back answering some of the questions.
Very, very careful also in, for example, hearing from a member of parliament who is not a member of government expressing his suspicions about what he guesses is the reason for a particular exercise. And I refer you to the full tape where he starts off by saying, I guess. We have to be clear to distinguish that from government position. The Interior Minister has spoken, the Regional Minister has spoken, the Defense Minister has also spoken. I've seen articles, for example, from some of our colleagues that say that collusion in government over deployment. And then what do is that they juxtapose the Honorable K.T. Hammond, and if you read that, it says that he's a member of the ruling party, but that's not a government position. So please, let's do this in a very clearly distinguished manner. The man in charge of the auction is explaining when it started, how many men have gone where, and various rationalizations, and you have an opportunity to interact with him. I don't think that we do ourselves a service when we now decide to make K.T. Hammond's words the government position. Now, I think we can only say it's interesting. To your question about what does government have to say about this, about of a pick and choose attitude, where there are some things you see the minority pretend they haven't seen it, where there are some things, then they have a full-blown press conference. And like you mentioned, the issue of secessionists, I don't know, did the minority do a full-blown press conference on it? I'm not sure they did. But in this instance, you would notice how the temperatures are being stoked up. We only find it interesting. We believe that the people of Ghana will see it for what it is. That will be our only comment. Honorable Minister, please join us.
Thank you much. Thank you. Kojo, thank you very much. It is true that in terms of absolute numbers, sorry, my mask is on my chin. I want the people of Ghana to hear me clearly. It is true that in terms of absolute numbers, Togo may have recorded fewer cases than Ghana. But what is also true is that Ghana has tested over 280 something in terms of tests with the numbers that we have. And Togo has done less than 50,000 tests. It is also true that people who have crossed into Ghana, anytime we arrest them, the rates of infection as against the numbers is about 30%. Sometimes 15%, sometimes up to as much as 30%. But it's never less than 15%. In fact, even the returnees from Kuwait, when we did, it was about 15%. The least we have always had with travelers or people who have come into the country is 10%. But Ghana, the infection rate is 3.5%, sometimes lower than 3.5%. So we are concerned about people coming into this country. It is the duty of Togo government to protect their people. It's our duty to protect Ghana. What we are saying is that whether police are free from the virus or not free, we will not allow them into Ghana because our borders are closed. Whether the Ivorians are free from the virus or not, we will not allow Ivorians into our country because our borders are closed. Whether the Burkinabes are free or not, we will not allow them into our country because our borders are closed. That's all we have said. Go to them if they have fewer numbers. But as far as we are concerned, our borders are closed. And they were using approved routes to come into our country. And anytime we get them, we see huge numbers. We don't know what they are doing. But we will not allow our people to die because we have opened our borders for people to come in through unapproved routes. When you ask the military to deploy on the from 18th and 19th, they deploy in barges. In fact, even this morning, the commander of CSBM was briefing troops as they were moving to their places. So it is not strange if you say that the people have deployed to Elubu. I've just given you the official figures at every place. What I rather thought you should be asking is that why is it that the NDC is saying that nobody is being deployed at the western border? Which is not true. Which you have confirmed that is not true. You have just confirmed to all the people of Ghana today that they peddled it a lie. It's not true. We have deployed at the west, at east, and at the north, and even at the south. What we are doing is to make the people of Ghana safe by blocking off all the unapproved routes. And as long as our borders are closed, it is our duty as a government to ensure that Ghanaians are safe. And that is what we'll continue to do. As for the 24-hour, which one is the 24? Oh, I think that, first of all, they did not even get their facts right. They assumed that we deployed only Volta region, or specifically Aflao only. I believe that if they are watching this press conference, they will revise their notes. And they should be bowing their heads in shame. Because they lied to the people of Ghana. As we have all been told now, the numbers in Volta region are some of the lowest. In fact, Aflao has some of the lowest. But what, 45? More than 45 soldiers? Aflao has about 16. So, when you are giving ultimatum, are you giving ultimatum to those in northeast to also withdraw? Those in north region to withdraw? Those are you speaking for those people as well? What about upper west? So they should withdraw as well. When to move people are happy that the soldiers are there. One Boku, people are happy the soldiers are there. And they have been there for a year and a half. It's not like yesterday. One Paga people have been with these soldiers for a year and a half, and they haven't complained. Please, like I said, the soldiers and men, the officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces are to protect all of us. In fact, it would be irresponsible for any government, it doesn't matter which government, it would there and fold their hands and the people of Ghana would die because of COVID. It was another government other than MPP. It would have been the rightful thing for them to have done what we are doing. When they get intelligence and real facts that people keep coming in. Even under lockdown, 5,000 people were arrested. More than 5,000 people were arrested. And now they are coming in more. Togo has opened their international airlines, so people come in. What we have said is that if you choose to travel to Togo, you can sneak into Ghana. We have deployed soldiers, police, PNI, and GRA along the borders. Don't come in. If you come in, go to the embassy, register yourself, come and quarantine yourself for 14 days, and Ghanaians have no problem with you. But to sneak in and bring a disease into Ghana is the duty of government to them. I rather thought you were going to ask more questions because hardly we have the defense minister organizing press conferences. But since you've chosen to, I want to thank you, thank the people of Ghana through you, and I want to say God bless you all. Thank you.
Honourable Minister, thank you. Let me also commend you for the speedy response with which you have attended upon our invitation today to help us deal with these matters. Colleagues, as I mentioned, our regular briefings are Tuesdays and Thursdays. But when there are matters that come up that we are of the view must be responded to within that same news cycle, we'll do well to invite you. And we're also grateful to you that you do well attend these invitations when we put them out. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 9:30 for the regular COVID briefing. Thank you.
So I'm still watching our special coverage of the minister's address, the defense minister, specifically his address on current happenings with regards to military deployment across the country. Specifically, the one that has drawn a lot of attention is the ones to do with the Volta region and the Otu region. He's trying to give explanations to why this is happening. We had some breaks as we went along. So what we're trying to do is to recover those audios or videos and then play them to you as soon as possible. But I have Godfrey Akoto-Boafo and Nathan Kwao trying to dissect the issues the reasons he's given for some of the things that have happened. And Godfrey, let me come back to you. So, are we satisfied with the deployment along the Volta and Otu region? Because we know that some of the places he mentioned, for example, in the northern region, are conflict-prone areas. And over the period, we see those military apparatus over there and then all that. And then when you look at the western figures, where we know there are a lot of borders along those lines, we see just a few numbers, just 14 soldiers or men, we are told, at that place. And of course, the Volta has 98 and the OT 72, Northeast 102, and then the numbers going up moves higher. But that explanation doesn't really calm tempers down as it is.
Well, he
right
hopes so.
across.
He certainly should hope so that it calms people down. And Kojo was saying that people might wonder if he's sharing too much information. But when you are sending, it's different from when you are running maybe a covert operation of some sort. And they do that a lot. Nobody wants to know about that. But when you send soldiers to a civilian settlement, there's nothing covert about that, because there's not like the people won't see them. You understand? So again, once the people have seen them, it's how they rationalize the presence of those persons, which is why I again go back to prior engagement with the community. That, okay, this is what we feel the situation is. We feel we have to do A, B, C, and D. The initial panic that we reported on Thursday, and that was way before the NDC had waded into the matter to make it a whole different one. They had genuine concerns that they needed to address. For instance, they were saying, look, it's the way of life. Some work in one country and live in the other. for some to buy basic groceries like bread, milk. They can wake up and cross. It's like me leaving City FM and going to Adabraka police station, but they're in two different countries. So under that circumstance, what do you do? Is there a human face to this? There are several layers to this. So they've given an explanation, broken down why they are there, where they have been, why they are doing this, and primarily they are saying it's because of COVID. Now we are all on the same page that because of COVID, you are doing A, B, C, and D. They've given a timeline. There's an enhanced Calm Life 3-month operation. They are preparing for another 3 months. So we will see how they engage the community from there. That is how I choose to accept it. But as to how the other people who are listening and those in the water, whether it assuages them or those in other countries, whether they are assuaged by his explanation, well, there's still a lot more talking to be done. And it is not with the political parties. It's with the people on the ground. Because you cannot also ignore the everyday reality of the existence of thousands of people that indeed, if they had to get bread, you can't tell the person that go to the Ghana consul in Lome
and register to come and get
before
that
you can come and buy the bread.
Yeah, that's
when the bread shop, when the only bread shop in his area is across the street.
I think we should give a proper demarcation before Nathan you come off how
some of these settlements are.
How it is.
It's important that we go back in time. Now, in 1956, when we had the plebiscite on the Western Togoland thing, a lot of all of this takes its roots from there, because you had, after that plebiscite, part of that territory became Ghana, the other part went to Togo, and you found all those people living in one common space, speaking one common language, being probably relatives of one family, and now because of politics and geography and demarcations, they will have to live on the other side. So it's important that we understand that context. That's why if somebody, and we all know that part of Ghana, if somebody wants to buy something, they may cross to Togo and come back. It's a ritual. It's something they do.
It's just so that viewers it's just a step to the other side. It's just a step.
It's not a wide gap, and that's something that happens all the time. You know, now if you go forward in time to our era where you've had all kinds of things emerge, Homeland Study Group, secessionists and all of that, you can tell that anything around Ghana-Togo border and such things are always very sensitive. So it's important that the engagement is key. It's very important that you engage the people on the ground, get their understanding, get their buy-in, then you can do whatever deployment. They understand what is going on, and we all live our lives as normal.
And it's also interesting watching Kojo, the very clear separation of state and party.
The Katie Amon is not the person speaking on this issue.
You know, so basically saying Katie has said this thing, take it up with Katie. Katie is not a government official. Katie doesn't speak for the government on the matter. He has no official role in the matter. So whatever it is he said, if you're upset, it is Katie, you know, but the government's position on the matter is A, B, C, and D. So in responding, do not take Katie's position on the matter as government's position on the matter, which is also an important clarification to make. If you look at the kind of feedback we've had from the NDC today, they organized the minority press conference from Aflao. It was quite, heated. We've had the former president also issue a statement. Two former presidents have issued statements speaking to the matter. So it looks like, Kojo has done a good job of separating the party and the government on this particular matter. That if you want to take Katie on, Katie has got to say his thing. The journalist went to ask him a question and he responded. That is not the government speaking. So those of you who are reporting that the government has said Katie is not part of government.
And he went on to even dissect Katie Hammond's response, saying that the gentleman in question gave a response and started with the phrase, or started with the words, I guess. And he highlighted the fact that, look, if somebody's not too sure of something, just don't listen to him, listen to government's official stance, and then try and run with that.
Okay, in the midst of all this, we are trying to deal with the COVID matter and all that, but in the midst of all that, we have a registration exercise coming on, which starts tomorrow and ends on the 5th. Now, we are told that if you want to come in for that, or if you want to come in for other purposes, go to the mission, the Ghanaian mission, wherever you find yourself. We're looking at a case where, like we said before, the indigenes around those places, and just a step to in and out, it doesn't look like that thing is a plausible thing to do. Realistically, the solution to dealing with those who want to come in, say to register or to, go about their normal duties, is it a good one from the Minister of Defense?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of just registration. Other than that,
Or
we limit it to, a political term.
Yeah.
It's daily life for most of the persons. And that's why I was saying that if you engage the community, for instance, if you go and you talk to the chief of Aflao, that Toby, this is the issue that we have in this area. People are coming in. As soon as every time they come, we test. If they are 5, we test 2. If we test all. We have 2 of them testing positive for COVID. We don't want that situation. So this is what we are going to do. But you also know, your community knows the persons who go this way and that way.
Yeah.
You understand? So are we saying that the children, we've opened schools, for instance, here. There are Togolese kids who attend school in Ghana.
Yeah.
One famous example is Emmanuel Shea Adebayo, who lived in Togo and attended school in Ghana until he moved to Accra, Newtown. And it happens constantly. And we have students in Ghana who attend school in Togo
That's right.
as well. So can we find a way of dealing with this? It might prove to be a bit heady, but there are economic circumstances. And when you live in Accra, we might have, a certain kind of city bias towards it and say, well, they say we should shut the border. We shut the border. But I know where to get my bread. There are 50 options to get the bread.
Yeah.
But in some of those places, there's just one, and it's a border. I recall a trip to Mahama Ayariga's constituency some time back. The border between Mahama Ayariga's village and Burkina Faso, it is from here down.
Down there.
You see, they
So
wave at each
that's
other
a daily
every
commute. It's also between Ghana and Burkina Faso. It's a very regular.
How do you tell him that this morning he can't say hello to the person who buys his meat or something? So how that person gets meat?
And even with the school bid, we had the president saying for students who want to come in from outside for school, they are allowed to come in from the addresses he made on the reopening of the schools for the final year students, right?
Yeah. So they need to find a way around that does not affect the livelihoods unfairly of, and basically the everyday way of life of persons, simply because you have instructions to shut the border. There has to be a way around it. So again, I'm on my team, engage a bit more, find a solution around this. You can still keep the borders closed, but not affect the way of life of the people who live there.
Okay, Nathan.
I completely agree with Godfrey. Engagement is key. Engagement is key. If you have chiefs speaking about this, showing up, MPs showing concern, several stakeholders jumping in, then you'd have to understand that it's a very unique situation. The landmass or the fluid nature of Ghana-Togo border matters is such that you need to look at it carefully and handle it very, very clearly. Of course, if you look at how the deployments have been done and the response to things up north, across that terrain in Burkina Faso, you find that there's a better grip on the matter. You find that it's easier dealing with those situations than in between Ghana and Togo, where again language, where you find that the people speak a very common language. There are relatives who are on either side. Economic activity cuts across, so you'd have to engage to get the buy-in and then deal with it. Again, timing. And it's important. Now, because all of this is happening around the same time, COVID, registration, all kinds of things, it's just heightening the suspicion. And the last thing you want is for people to start to imagine that there is something against them, even though the information minister and the defense minister have both stated that there is no agenda. You'll have to do more to convince the people that there is no agenda. And I feel that the government will have to do a bit more in this. Deal with the matter, speak to the people involved, opinion leaders, chiefs, whoever, clear this issue and move on. Because from the way things are going, the registration exercise will happen, and you will have to get the buy-in of everybody.
Okay, we'll see how. If there's time, I want us to quickly play a bit of the minorities' visit to the Volta and Otu regions this morning. If we can quickly play that one to see what they have been saying again, because they went there to visit the area to assess for themselves what is happening. So we'll take that and then we'll wrap up from here.
Yeah. Now the issue about whether we are not inflaming passions when we raise some of the issues we have raised. I was going to say that it's almost appearing like telling the relatives of George Floyd and the blacks, not just in America but all over the world, who have had knees on their neck from time immemorial, and who are screaming, "We can't breathe," and telling them that when they shout, "We can't breathe," they're actually inflaming racial passions. The Evers can't breathe. Ever lives matter. So this is simply a call for justice, a call for the nation to understand our solidarity, that together, like rainbows, we make this country great. Another man stood on the independence podium in the form of Dr. Abeli Belema, which means our contribution right from the very beginning of this country has been absolutely concrete.
So that's a member of the Volta caucus in Parliament, Fifi Kwete. Obviously still not happy with what they saw over there. But this discussion, I think even from the answers from the minister himself, doesn't appear that many of the questions have been answered, and whether this discussion will end anytime soon. I feel that it's been opened more to more, more questions still raging in our minds and all that.
You will have more questions. And I think that a lot more of those questions will be premised, for example, when the registration in that part of Ghana starts. What will be, for example, the fallout from day one? Will people have issues, going to register? Will people say that I'm stuck in Togo and I'm Ghanaian, but I cannot come in to register? Will people be allowed to register? Will people be denied the chance to register? So I feel that even though there are questions from this press conference, a lot more will start to emerge when the exercise starts. Now, it may either corroborate people's suspicions, or they may blow those suspicions out of the water and say, you guys don't have a case, everything is okay. So I feel that the registration exercise will give us a better understanding of those questions, the queries people may have. I don't know if the minority caucus would stay to observe the exercise.
You can guarantee that.
Come out with their own thing, and then we'll also see what CODEO, because I know CODEO have put out 100 people to observe the exercise. So I don't know what kind of deployment they will do in that part of the country. It's important to see or to know what will happen. Now, if it goes well and people are happy, great. Then the suspicions that some people have, to the point that you want to stop some people from registering, those ones are completely taken out of the equation. Then you can deal with other things.
I will look at it from the COVID standpoint. And since, again, I'm taking the word of the Minister of Defense on this, we launched this because of COVID, based on surges. We all study the trends. Like I said, we've already shown that then if it surges, the Western region numbers are quite low. For the third highest number of COVID cases in the country, that has 14 soldiers. And it's also a significant border entry into this country. You can enter, so I will be looking at it from the COVID standpoint in terms of what will be the new numbers for illegal entries as compared to other places. Okay, which is why I keep on bringing on the issue of the 5,600 plus persons who still managed to get into their country. How did they get it? Because if you look at the deployment dates, some of the soldiers had already been deployed.
Been there. So how come?
They were still coming. They were still coming. Okay, so we will. For me, that is where I will gauge this from. If the numbers keep going up, and by that I mean the COVID numbers as related to the number of people who are coming in illegally or not, and where they are coming in from. And then based also on how quickly they leave once the registration exercise ends. You see, because if you say you're there for COVID, once the registration exercise ends, you can't go. You have to stay.
So because it's COVID, not registration.
So we'll keep an eye on that as well, because basically, Vivian, until the 31st of July, nobody can go anywhere. So until the 31st of July, we expect to see these people there.
Okay. We have a lot of messages coming in. Yusuf says, I doubt whether the government can get the buy-in of the people now, because it's turned into a political campaign.
That's the difficult one.
And then this one says, what the defense minister said is actually a true reflection on the ground. We in Zabzugo district received our soldiers 4 weeks ago. We saw the Ghana Armed Forces chopper dropping soldiers in Tatale border, Cheni and Nangpali border long ago. Great. This one says, Ezekiel says, so how does this issue get resolved? With the crossing over to get the bread, etc., how can it be resolved permanently? Does the government just leave the people living around there to do their own thing with no border checks because of the economic circumstances? You ask. They want to hear the view from you guys on that. And then Ezekiel says, which solutions can work in this case? Now, this one says, this is like, he says, come on, what is Kojo Opon trying to say? I'm a Voltarian, and I can tell you a lot of people are mad with this whole thing. He says, okay, another one says, Otsu from Blapa says, is Parliament no longer an arm of government? Is Katie Hammond not an MP? I think reacting to whether he can speak on the issue or not. This one says, ABT from Chennai says, I think he feels we are missing the point. He says the military are not there to chase COVID-19 positive persons, so there's no correlation between positive cases in the region and the number of soldiers. If you have any proof that there are more unapproved routes in the Western region and Volta region, let us know. Secondly, when you are taking security decisions, it is proper to dialogue before you're asking us. Okay.
But on that particular point, quickly, it is quite clear. The minister said the reason why they are doing this is
to check borders so people don't come in.
Okay.
You see, and he says because there has been a surge. Now, logically, if there has been a surge, if there's been for instance, an increase in spitting crime, and there's one armed robbery case in Tamale, and there are 50 armed robbery cases in Accra. Do you deploy 300 soldiers to Tamale?
That's what it is, guys.
This is basic.
Okay, let me take a few. Why should those in Togo, no matter how close in neighboring community, be allowed in to register? Okay, this one from Yao says, Katie Hammond spoke what has been planned. Okay, Timothy says, good analysis, City, for your comparative and realistic analysis for us to really know the government's decision on some of the things. So I think we'll have to leave it here. The conversation still continues on our various platforms. On Eyewitness News today, 5:30. The conversation will continue over there. On our news bulletins as well, on CNR, on TV at 8 p.m. tonight. And then tomorrow morning on the various breakfast show platforms on TV and radio, started at 6:30. Guys, thank you so much. Godfred Akoto-Boafo was with me, and Nathan Kwa. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. Keep your dial on City FM and City TV. Goodbye.
City TV is live on DSTV. Go to channel 363. On GoTV, access City TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. City TV